There can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
This is Heath.
And now, for the exciting climax.
Part 2.
Oh, you know it. I haven't got my text from Wes saying, wish I was here, but I'm sure that's what he'd be saying right now.
He is in spirit.
He is in spirit. That is correct. We have a few guests here that are here in spirit all the time with us. And no one even knows this is a podcast, but there has been an ongoing gag, let's say off the air or visual gag we've been using for, I think, for the past year at least. So we'll keep going with that one. And we're on to, we've passed up the guitars. We've passed up the found footage.
Yes.
Newfound footage.
Footage.
I'm now we're waiting for that. You discovered that Jurassic Park moment where you see the live brontosaurus.
And it's coming up. But
okay. And you said and the John Williams score is in a crescendo, and you just kind of drop to the floor.
Yeah.
How did you do this? Okay, so
well, before we get to that,
we got some more stuff though. Let's go.
No, we left off where I talked about his office and stuff.
Yes, saw the office with. That's the crazy thing because you think they'd put up fake. I'm sorry, but your fake furniture, fake this. That can't be. No, so no one really took all the stuff.
No, they pretty much left it as is.
That's good that no one rated it and started selling on eBay. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
So okay, go ahead.
They took us into a next room that was right off the atrium, and it was the guitar room. And it was basically the entire room was guitars under glass. It was
okay.
So
and these were famous. I'm assuming
it was ones that he had used and stuff over the years.
Okay.
There was actually like all the way back to like 1979. There was this leopard print one, a real cheap looking guitar, but. It was on a couple of his earlier videos, but there was one bass that was bass. If you knew what his guitars looked like from his, the past 20 years or so, he had this kind of famous shaped guitar. Mm-hmm. Not the cymbal one, but there was one.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking.
Like the one from Purple Rain, the white guitar.
Okay, got it.
So every year after that, he had a different color of that same guitar from Purple Rain. This bass that was in there, I'd only seen in a video that came out in 1979 or 80. I can't remember which one.
Okay,
But his bass player was playing it, and that's where the model of that came from, that he turned into a guitar. It's sitting there under glass, and I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. So it was neat to see that. There were a couple of other ones in there that he had been in different of his videos and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was cool to see. So then after we all gathered again after there, then they actually took us to the studios. Mm-hmm. So he has 4 studios inside Paisley Park, and that's where he, created all the music. That's where he pretty much spent his pretty much his entire life.
Was there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, creating music, that's what he did.
Well,
so.
He didn't like to speak to the press. He didn't like to talk very much. But there's a quote of his is, "I talk through my music."
Yeah.
That's my language and stuff. So, so I get it.
Right.
So we go into the control room of one of the smaller studios, and they let us listen to some music in there from the soundboard.
Okay.
Which was very cool. They played some a cappella stuff that he had done before, where you can hear that he had layered his voice, like I think they said 20-something times. So it sounds like a choir singing, but it's all him in different tones and pitches and all that. I'm not going to try to sing it for you because I couldn't. But
whoa,
yeah, he was very infamous for multi-layering his vocals. His range was from high falsetto down to bass. He could hit all in between and stuff. So
what's it like to hear 27 princes all at once?
So there's these huge monitor speakers that are up on the walls, and I was like, I'm fixing to get in front of one of those, and I'm just gonna turn around, not face at it, but I'm just gonna I'm having my back turned to it, and I started playing at it, and it was just, I don't know, it was very,
It was something.
Yeah, it was something. It was
It
very
was
cool.
something.
And he was a huge ping pong nut. He loved playing ping pong. I just look over in the corner of the studio, and there's this huge glass vase that's just full of ping pong balls. So I was like, it is true. He does like to play ping pong.
Wow.
I know. Then we went into another studio. I think we were in Studio D first. Then we went into Studio C. And I believe it was Studio C. Hold on, it could be B. But anyway, we walk in there, and they have different bits of memorabilia. There's his purple piano that he, if I remember correctly, he only played it. They said he only played on once. He got it right before he died. Had it built. It was had it built specifically for him by Yamaha, if I remember correctly.
Of course.
He didn't like it. It was the wrong shade of purple. So they sent it back and put the right color purple on it.
Shut the front door.
Yep, true story.
Wow.
But what
was there also the apology letter to Prince in a frame somewhere?
I did not say that, but I bet there was.
We are
one.
sorry, Mr. Prince. We are so sorry for the wrong shade of purple.
There was also a little electric piano that was the one that he played like live on tour.
Cool.
So I was like, all right, that's cool. Then I looked down, and there's his yellow guitar, and it's the cymbal guitar that I was talking about that he had different color models of. This would have been the yellow one he would have had during the Diamonds and Pearls era. 91 or whatever. So that was cool. There's murals up on the wall. It's him, and then it was his last band that he had, which was called Third Eye Girl, and it was three ladies.
Third Eye Girl. I remember when it was Prince and the
It was the Revolution, then the New Power Generation.
New Power Generation.
Yeah.
I got it mixed up. Yeah.
So the last group he had was three ladies and him.
Okay.
And it was really kind of like a power rock type thing. So anyway, they're all up on the walls as well. I mean, this is from floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
They're this big.
Wow.
And inside that studio was a full-size ping pong table that he played numerous times when he would just want to chill or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were like, y'all can play on that if you want to. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm too cool for this. But then other people were doing it. I said, you know what? You're at Paisley Park, fool.
You paid for this.
Yeah.
This is part of the experience.
Yeah, I said, just go over there and hit the ball once or twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, this paddle, he could have touched. He could
have touched us. He was definitely playing on that table.
Yes.
The same one.
So I did it for a little bit, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But then they said, okay, we didn't tell you this before, but what we're going to do now, they had a selfie machine in there where you could take selfies and stuff.
Okay, fun.
And they said, we're going to give you something a little extra here. What we're going to do now is he goes over and he grabs the yellow guitar. And he says, we're going to let each one of y'all take a picture holding this.
Oh, my.
That still wasn't the aha moment.
Wow, okay.
But everybody in there, like, really popped for that. And I did, too. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, wow.
This is a moment.
Yeah, so each of us
the nethers were stirring.
Yeah, the nethers were stirring.
As they say.
So we had to wear gloves.
Of course, that's fair.
It was like
it
wasn't a replica.
It is the Ark of the Covenant. If you touch it, you'll die.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they said it was not a replicant. It was an original. Wow. The one that he used. So
that's
I was
pretty
like,
cool though.
It was a lot heavier than I thought it would be, and considering that he only weighed probably $120.
This thing is half his weight.
Yeah. So it was quite heavy. So you literally needed to hold it with two hands, obviously. So I have a picture of myself in Studio B, if I remember correctly, and holding Prince's guitar.
Nice.
So I have a picture of it on my phone. I got an 8x10 blew up when I got home. I've got it framed in my room.
That's
So
awesome.
that
That's
is awesome. I wish I would have known I was going to take a picture and hold his guitar. I probably wouldn't have worn shorts that day and had my white legs showing.
Well, you know
But
what?
that's
You
neither
were
here
there.
nor there.
Neither here nor there. You got to hold the guitar.
Yeah. Okay.
Your 9-year-old self would
Yeah.
have peed himself.
Yes.
Okay.
Next, they took us into a room that was all about the Purple Rain era.
Okay.
So now I'm getting a little chills just
Okay.
starting
So
to
chills coming.
starting to reminisce about
Spidey
that.
sense tingling.
They had his original clothing that he wore in the movie
Oh.
on mannequins. They had the
Okay.
original motorcycle.
Now that's cool.
They had another electric piano that was in there. They even had in a glass case the seamstress patterns for all his clothing and the sizes and all that stuff. You know, those, you get a little pattern.
Okay.
And it has they have that. They had those in
Yeah.
there. They had Polaroid pictures from the movie set.
Oh.
Just random him acting goofy or
Yeah,
just
during the
other
movie.
pictures. Yeah.
Okay.
There was his actual what is it called? The Screen Actors Guild contract that you got to become a member of Screen Actors Guild if you're going to make a movie.
Yeah.
They had it. They had it
Nice.
under. They had the contract for some of the sessions he did at various studios, and it would show like, he was there for this long. This is how much it cost and stuff. It had an original draft of the Purple Rain script.
Okay. Sweet.
What was weird though is I knew he was a small guy, but when you stand up in front of a mannequin that has his clothing on it,
You realize he's 5 feet tall, right?
he was like 5'1",
Yeah.
5'2". His waist, you'll just have to visualize this, but literally his waist was,
Yeah. That thin.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm standing up there, I went,
It's like a 10-year-old kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. He was that impish, I
Yeah.
guess you could say.
And the thing is, on TV, he felt larger than
No,
life.
on TV or in concert, you
6 feet
never,
tall.
yeah, you never saw it.
Yeah.
You just, granted, he was wearing heels, but that's not the point.
Doesn't
It
matter.
just,
That just adds a few inches. That's
yeah,
nothing.
no, yeah, he was larger than life. So anyway,
Playing basketball.
yeah, they took us to another room that had Purple Rain stuff related to it, and they had one of the motorcycles in there, a purple one. Obviously, I couldn't tell you if it was a real one or not, or a replica or whatever, but I got to sit on that one, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that is fun.
Now, granted, you got to remember remember that no picture taken of none of this, so I'm just going off visual.
right.
I'm going off visual memory right now.
Right.
I have no pictures of any of this to show. So,
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. But you're soaking this all in.
but see, that's one of the parts of not fanboying out so much. I was trying to absorb so
yeah,
much
you're soaking in.
because
you're a sponge.
I couldn't every 5
Yeah.
seconds go click 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 click
Yeah.
click, or video or
But
whatever.
in a way, it lets you see more of the detail of the home and
Yeah.
the room.
So I was so focused on trying to see everything that I didn't really have time to just fanboy out.
Okay.
But
Yeah, taking it all in. I get that.
we got to the main studio, Studio A,
Okay.
and for people listening and you, this was probably going to be like, that's what did it for you. But
Okay.
yes, we walk into Studio A. It's the biggest one. They did not let us go into the control room on this one. I'm not sure why. But we went out into the main area, which could have held an orchestra. That's how big
Okay.
it was. It had isolation booths for drums, for a piano, where he would go do vocals and all this stuff. But as I walk in Studio A and I turn to the right, under glass, there was this machine. And that is what got the goosebumps and got me all excited.
Okay.
Because it was a Lynn LM1 drum machine. Now, if you're a music person, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But the one drum machine was revolutionary back in the early 80s. If you listen to a lot of Prince's music, it was all throughout that. He made most of his songs
Came from this machine.
The drum beats, the different, some of the, I can't really explain what the sounds are, but he took that machine and did so much more with it than anybody could ever imagine. I think even more than probably the inventor Roger Lynn could even imagine. So he experimented so much with it. That's why his music back then sounded so different and experimental and stuff like that.
This was his muse, so to speak.
Yeah, so
this instrument
that
here.
thing is under glass, and I went, whoa.
This is something they didn't even point to, right?
No. It was just
It's
under
something
glass.
that was there.
I mean, they came back to it a minute ago, but I saw it first, and I was just like, I stopped in my tracks. I was like,
you know what that was?
That's the drum machine.
Yeah.
That's where all the music came from. And then next to it was a Oberheim, I think it's an OX7 synthesizer. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the ones, along with the LN1 drum machine, where those two things were his signature sounds. That's the Minneapolis sound, what they call. That's where it came from.
Minneapolis sound was similar.
Yeah. That was the actual keyboard that he did When Doves Cry on.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. And then all the music, besides the synthesizer and the guitar on When Doves Cry, came out of that Lynn drum machine.
Okay, well, that's a big thing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me,
I can see that. To you,
as a music person,
knowing how the music, seeing the actual instrument that created all the classic hits.
That is what got the goosebumps going.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
And then they played some samples of When Doves Cry with just the drum machine beats.
Okay.
And then of course they went over to the keyboard, and they had a sample of here's what When Doves Cry sounds like, just the keyboards.
Okay.
So that was
nice.
That was really the coolest part of it for me. I can't tell you right now why that made me pop so much, but I don't know. It just knowing that's where all the music began there. I mean, obviously in his head, he's got to put it on paper, and from paper to putting it to come to life.
To make it come to life. Yeah.
So that was it for me. Then after that, by this time we're getting close to the 3-hour mark. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't just rush us through all this stuff. I mean, they let us really take our time and look at the stuff. Then we go to the sound stage. He had a full sound stage at Paisley Park. Now, Paisley Park is over 50,000 square feet. So a good majority of it was this sound stage where you could actually, when it was originally built, it was built where you could do commercials, movie sets. He held concerts there. It was big enough for that.
Wow.
And they had a stage set up, and some of his instruments and stuff up there, and they had a giant screen back there that was playing different stuff. They had other mannequins and stuff with different clothing and stuff in there. They had a different motorcycle. They had a couple of other pianos and this and that, whatever, just memorabilia stuff. And they let us. Then that's when they kind of when we got there, they said, "Okay, we're gonna unlock the pouches. You can take all the pictures you want in here."
Oh, okay.
So I do have pictures of that.
Okay, that was nice.
Yeah. So there was some good stuff in there. Then they, gave us, something to drink or whatever, and it was either, you could have a Coke or Diet Coke or whatever, or you could have a bottle of water, and of course the bottle of water had the Paisley Park logo on it, so I took the water.
You gotta get the water.
I still have the water bottle. I kept the water bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, I drank it, but I kept the water bottle.
Did it cure what ailed you?
It might have been from the lake. It might have been from Lake Minnetonka. I'm not sure.
So really, this is how your sight returned back.
Yes.
to your eye.
You know what? I never thought about that.
That is how the sight returned back to you. You drank from the.
I drank the water, and a month later, my eyes got better.
You chose wisely, as
Yes.
they say.
I drank from the Holy Grail. Yes, that's a good one. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so you've seen the light now.
Mm-hmm.
You've refreshed yourself. Then what happens? Is this the end? Is this the road?
He had his own little jazz club in there as well, so that was kind of on the way out. It was just
Can you imagine what a Prince house party was like?
Unreal. I actually have some of the parties that he and live stuff that he had done on. I have them on CD and stuff.
Nice,
like bootlegs and stuff.
Right. Oh wow.
But yeah. So by the time I get through, my wife, who had went shopping, she did not want to take part in the tour, and I don't blame her. She came back and got me, and she was outside, and she was like, well, was it all it was cracked up to be? Was it the best or whatever? And I just was like, yeah, it was good. I couldn't absorb it all yet.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah.
You said, let's go home. Rolled the credits.
Yeah, and as we're leaving, there's a sign that says "Thank you for visiting Paisley Park." I took a picture of that, so
of course,
there we go. And,
there you go.
You know, but then the next day, I mean, you have to do the downtown part of the pilgrimage as well, because we went downtown Minneapolis, where the Club First Avenue is. That was the one that was made famous in the movie Purple Rain. It's still there.
Still there.
They had just had Prince celebration a couple of days before we got there, and they had the Revolution had came back and played there. The Time came and played there. So I got pictures in front of First Avenue.
Nice.
There's a 5-story mural that somebody painted of him on the side of a parking garage, because it's right there by the Target Center where they play basketball and all that
okay.
stuff. So
basketball.
yeah, so I got pictures of that. Went the last thing we did was there was this famous music store up there called the Electric Fetus. And
Okay.
he was a regular customer. They said he would just walk in by himself, and being from Minneapolis, if nobody bothered him, he would just shop.
He was just a regular.
He was a regular.
You saw him all the time.
He was a Minnesotan, as Jesse Ventura would say. So he just came in there, and I'd always heard about it, and it was a cool record store. Bought a few things in there and stuff, and got some pictures of it, and got a T-shirt and stuff, and yeah. Oh, the one thing I left off, because I know we're probably getting close to time, but as we fly into Minneapolis, inside the Minneapolis International Airport, there's a Prince store.
Oh, really? So they already know that a lot of people.
Yeah.
This makes sense.
An officially licensed by the estate store. So that was the first thing I saw Prince related when I got off the plane, because I knew it was there. I was like, we've got to go here. And inside there, they had one of his, one of the cloud guitars. That's what they call it, not the cymbal guitar. It was the peach one that was my favorite. So I got a picture of it. It's under glass. There were handwritten lyrics under glass of his in there and stuff. And then you could buy article memorabilia and stuff in there. And I didn't buy nothing in there because I knew
You knew you were saving it for the.
Yeah, I knew I'd go to the gift shop. But yeah, so that was cool. So got pictures of that. My wife took a picture of me taking a picture of the guitar, because she was like, and then she sent it to her sister or whatever, and like, Heath's in heaven right now. He's so it was I gotta let me give my wife props for that, because we were originally going to do it on my 50th birthday, which would have been in 22, but I had some work-related trip to New York, which I had to go to for 6 weeks, which will be another episode, hopefully
that will
one
be
day.
another episode, exactly.
And got to spend 6 weeks up there, but after I got back from doing that, I was just like, you know what? I'm done travel. I'm good for traveling this summer.
Yeah.
Had made 3 separate trips up there, and I said we'll do it, another day. And then just out of the blue last year, she said, "Hey, if you want to do this trip, let's do
go.
it." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's
you
like, "Yeah." I was like, "You don't want to do the thing?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "No. You go do the thing. I'll
Look at that.
I'll go around, shop, whatever." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, when I find out when tickets go on sale, I'll let you know." And then just out of the blue, it got to where tickets were available for the summer, and I walked in the bedroom. I said, "Hey,
Guess what?
tickets just went on sale."
It's
She was
time.
like, "Well, let's do it." And right then she got online, booked the airlines, and I got the hotel booked. I bought the tickets, and that was exciting because I was like a little kid that opened my Christmas present. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, we're really going. It's really
We're really
happening.
doing this,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was pretty. That was a surreal moment as well. It was just real weird. I did take a ton of pictures of Minneapolis and other areas we went. Beautiful place. Hey, nothing better than being in Minneapolis in late June when you call home and it's 105
110,
heat
yeah.
index here, and it was 72 degrees up there.
That's wonderful. That's the time when you go.
Yeah. So anyway, big props out to the wife.
That was really nice of her.
It really was. So I owe her something. Our 25th wedding anniversary is this summer. So
What is something that she's always wanted? Does she have a
No,
scrapbook journey? No.
No,
Okay.
not really. We've talked about
Okay.
a few places here and there, and I told her, basically said, "Hey, whatever you want to do, we'll
Let's
go."
do it,
So
yeah.
I'm just kind of,
That's nice.
Go
Go with the
she's
flow.
I like to pre-plan. She doesn't. So sometimes we just kind of wing it, or sometimes I finally just have to go, okay, I'm fixing to do this.
So she
and
goes, let's try to visit all the 4 homes of Kiss. And then you're like, okay, I know you're.
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So there you
No, I should have went to Graceland when I was in Memphis a couple of times. I have a cousin that lives there, but one day I'll go back to
Yeah,
it. But
you got many chances to do that. Minneapolis is a little bit farther away.
yeah, that was almost a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, I know some people there are people around here in Monroe that have been. I know this because she actually works with somebody that
They did the whole Prince thing too.
Yeah, at some other time or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's really neat. That's a good trip. Got some memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
You said some shirts.
Yep.
Do you wear the shirts?
Oh yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I have
So nothing's put under glass here.
No, I have a turquoise one that has the Paisley Park logo right here. I've worn it to work.
There you go.
Like casual Friday.
Hey, you know what? It fits.
Yeah.
It's Prince.
I've wore a couple of the other
Wear it
print
to
shirts.
wear it
and
to a
stuff.
wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Formal wear.
Yeah.
And the empty plastic bottle from Paisley Park.
Yep. It's in my man cave room somewhere. I don't have it like sitting out on display. I don't think. No,
There's
I
a
don't.
picture of your children and a picture of the bottle right next to it.
I think the pictures of the cats are next to it, probably. Yeah. So anyway, that was a
That's
Yeah.
that's a great trip because Minneapolis. There's Mall of America. There's not.
we did do Mall of
did?
we had to do the
You have to the largest mall ever.
it was
Indoor roller coaster. Did you do the indoor roller coaster?
no
Yeah.
no, but we saw it. Most of that stuff that there is all Nickelodeon themed now.
Oh, okay.
SpongeBob,
Got it.
Dora,
Okay.
a whole bunch of that stuff. So no, I didn't do it. I will say this: malls aren't dead. It just depends on where you
Where
live.
you go?
Yeah,
Well, the
But-
Mall of America is the pinnacle
yeah,
mall.
yeah.
It ain't no pecan land, so to speak.
No. Oh, well, I will say this: I'd been looking for this purple Swatch watch, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it online. We're in Mall of America, Minneapolis, Prince World.
Yeah.
If
If there's any chance.
well, I just happened to see a Swatch store, and my wife had already told me don't buy any more Swatch because I got like 9 or 10 of them
But
now.
did you find the purple?
Yes. I walk in and I look over there and I went, "Are you kidding me? I couldn't find it anywhere. Not even on their online store."
Wow.
I walk over. I said, the girl come over. She said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, that right there. I'll take it." They couldn't even find a box for it. It was the last one.
Whoa!
So
display only.
Was it fate? Was it karma?
Display only.
Yeah.
Now, did the missus know you bought another Swatch watch?
Yes. Because
But
she ended up walking in behind me, and I said, "But dear,
it's the purple one.
It's purple, and it's the last one.
It's the last one.
Yeah.
Mankind is out of these. This is it. This is the last one I need."
I actually wore it to work the other day.
Yeah. What we're going to find out is we're going to flip it around the back, and we're going to see that Prince carved his initials into it, and you actually have one of Prince's special made purple swatches.
Then it will be
somehow got lost and made its way to Mall of America. Should have been on display for a Prince display, but they accidentally just put it out in the regular bin.
It'll either be in the casket with me or the urn.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Hey, let me know in the chat. You like Prince? Have you been to Paisley Park? Would you like to go? And how way more exciting was this than anything Wes could come up with? Let us know that in the chat, and we'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.